one of the things that I am seeing is organizations are missing out on a fast-paced development that they need to do. Everybody keeps saying, oh, we need to be faster in our products, our projects.
Yeah.
But then you are not using open source that is available. So many libraries are available, so many projects are available. You can make use of them and be faster.
It's a combination of NIH, not invented here, syndrome, as well as, I don't really want to do this. So again, it goes, and there's another way of looking at it, right? Why do you, not do every single thing you need to do in an organization yourself? Right? Why didn't you do that? Because then you know exactly what was done. But you choose to take things from different places. There's a certain element of trust. There's a certain element of provenance there. So these are some of the reasons why the organizations like OpenSSF, Open Software Security Framework, was set up to give you the provenance of the particular line of code that you are receiving.
OSPO is not a complex scenario. It's not a rocket science. So we'll come to that. How do you get started? And why this has become very important question is the recent survey that we did at Ashnik for state of open source in Southeast Asia. Very encouraging numbers that we found that 20% of the organizations said they already have it in some form or the other, which is good news. Even better news is 49% are saying yes, we want to have. So, which is a very, very encouraging fact, and this is a first time we had put up this question, given that today the proliferation of open source, and we were expecting that people should look for this kind of thing, and which is a good news. But when I spoke to few organizations, I realized there are questions they have in mind as to how do I get off the ground? Where do I start with? Do I need a lot of skills? Do I need to stuff it with a lot of people? Do I need people with legal skills? Do I need people with technical skills? So how has been what would be your advice to get it started, and also combining with your experience of dealing with many organizations?
I think it's a very critical question that everybody is asking. But if you start something, start small. That's what we tell them. Start small. Start with one project first to understand what needs to be done. In terms of staffing, in terms of what needs to be done, again, it goes back to the organizational structure. What are the things that the organization is interested in making happen? And then whoever you hire to do the job could be an internal person that you now redesignate to look at this, because that person has got the necessary interest, background, and so on to make that kind of take on that kind of a role. There are two types of people we need to engage at this leadership level. Get them to understand what this actually can bring to them as a value, so that this brings me value because I can do these extra things. But now I need to find somebody internally to do it. Now, I take the leadership role and I'm responsible for this. Then I empower somebody to start off this process. Then over a period of time evolves, and maybe you have to have 2 or 3 more people or whatever. Now, the best thing about all of these things, because we're talking about the open source community, you're not alone when you start something. There is a whole community of people who are more than happy to give you advice, help you along the way, show you guidelines, tutorials online, to learn what else you need to do. And there are meetups. There is a OSPO++. There is a OSPO Alliance in Europe. There are OSPOs that are being set up in universities today.
One of the things that potentially gets asked is there a structured material? Are there presentations? Are there consultants who can help us get it started? What would you say to that?
There is. These are the kind of things that is beginning to happen. So one model that can be done is called OSPO as a service. So I can provide OSPO as a service to whoever wants things, so that you don't initially invest in people and resources at the start, right? You get from an external, just like getting any other service from anybody else. There is a set of metrics that you can have self-assessment of an organization. How ready are you to do open source internally? And there's a bunch of other things that you need to verify. So we can run the survey, run this assessment, and understand where you are, the state of your organization as a culture, as people involved. Because at the end of the day, what happens here is the culture will change. as people start sharing code and getting stuff from left and right and putting things together and all that, and then you find that you got different project teams in an organization, and you break down the silos and share the code across the board.
And I think one of the biggest thing that will happen out of this, if they have an effective program office understanding this, is a confidence in making use of open source software. The reason I'm saying this is, again, I'm citing some statistics from the survey that we did. So every year we ask the question, and our interest is to track what is the key reason people are wanting to use or are using open source. Traditionally, it has been cost as the biggest one. This time, first time, we found that innovation has, as a reason, has overpassed cost as a reason.
That's right.
Which means if you want to really innovate, you got to have an efficient mechanism in place. And I think that is what is lacking today because of lack of just awareness.
With awareness, the tools already there. The tools are there, all the necessary CI/CD tools are there. You can verify your license that you are incorporating. There are tools to check those things. There's something called SPDX, which is essentially a manifest for the code that is being provided. What is the code? What is a license? What does it come with? And there are automated tools to pick up these things. And then from there, you know what to do. Now,
do you see the role of OSPO to evolve beyond just information provider, beyond fact checking, into actually creating a culture that also
it can impact. It can impact, but again, it depends on organization.
How fast and how they want
how willing they are, because they may have the organization may not necessarily be keen to do these kinds of stuff for many reasons.
One of the examples that I have, especially when we deal with banks and insurance companies, which are highly regulated ones, and when I ask them simple that you have adopted certain technologies because you think it was open source, they say yes. And when I give them certain names and say, do you know this license is not anymore open source license? The question is, what do you mean by that? It's just a matter of knowledge, information. So even if you are highly regulated, it is important that you should know.
You still need to know. Exactly.
Correct. And as I see, if you have this information, knowledge, your adoption is much more efficient and faster. So that you don't have to every time, because I have seen examples where the user teams decided to use certain technologies and then they get a notification, oh, you cannot because of lack of information, and then it delays and it goes back and forth and it takes time to establish their reasons. But if you had this kind of office, you could just go to one place and that could be, as you said, start with just email alias and that goes to 3-4 people and the right information is provided. You get off your project as much faster than in case where you are just waiting for someone to tell you. And I see a lot of reasons, a lot of benefits if this goes.
There's significant benefits. It's sometimes the problem here is there a business model to it? It becomes a cost center internally within an organization, completely understood. But the cost center, if you don't have it, what does that mean?
Even bigger cost.
Bigger cost.
Because your
bigger exposure.
Your projects are not getting off the ground quickly. You have pressure from your businesses to start deliver things much faster.
In some sense, what OSPO can offer is like a role, like your accounts team or your finance team or your people team. You have an OSPO team, because they will give you that guidance and making sure that you are within the remit of the law, as it were.
It will be facilitator.
It's a facilitator.
More importantly, in enabling your organizational growth, if I connect it to that level. That's wonderful. One last question. You did mention there are a lot of discussions happening about creating a certification course, proper course.
What this set of courses is, it's about 3 to 5 days. But the idea here is you understand, get into the weeds of it with like-minded individuals to say, if I'm going to do this, what are my constraints? What are the things that has to be there? Will this impact my culture of organization? Will this impact how fast I can do stuff? Will it impact if I need to export to another country? Will all of these export regulations and all this will somehow weave into the conversation? So therefore, there will be a need to have that kind of training that's available. This kind of stuff is not available in the universities or anything when you are in undergrad or something. No, it doesn't. This is really a business-related set of training that needs to be done.
That's great to hear. And you are taking lead in that setting up. Wonderful. Great. Thank you.